Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. Honore, how are you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am fantastic. We just
Yeah,
had
of course.
a great conversation about word count in books. So how does the day get better than that?
I'm not sure. Maybe by putting a word count in,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I have
Get
not. I have not.
uh, I cheated. I did instead of writing new content, I went over a chapter I just recently wrote
Yeah.
and made some edits and improved it. So I was like, okay, I feel better, but I didn't, produce a lot of words.
All right. Well, some days, well, this is funny. Yesterday, I was talking to a client and he said, some days you're the windshield and some days you're the bug.
It's true. It is true.
Right. Well, some days you write the words and some days you do the other work around the words you've written. So,
That is right.
yeah.
So, for people that aren't familiar with us, I'm Lucas Marino, and I help nonfiction authors create courses from their books. And Honore,
Yes, I'm Monterey Quarter, and I help professionals and entrepreneurs to write, publish, market, and monetize their books.
all that greatness, all in one point of contact.
One point of contact. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going out, and if you guys haven't been familiar with the live streams before, we do this every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central.
Correct.
And we are live on YouTube. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the places. And we just are so ecstatic to have you guys with us. And today's topic, which we'll get into after we do a little bit more fam discussion, is people streaming. Hey, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Today's topic's charging what you're worth, and this one gets you right in the feels as a consultant or
Right.
as an entrepreneur. So what have you been up to? Have you been reading any good nonfiction lately?
I have a book to share, Karen. I'm glad you're watching because she had her fingers in this. So this is a new book that's out.
Oh, Discipline.
Discipline, What It Really Takes to Build a Seven-Figure Business by Ali Hamyari. So great, brand new book that's out, and it is it's a better business book. It's one of my bespoke book products. And look at this beautiful cover.
It's so
There's
nice.
Ali with one of his airplanes. So he owns several businesses. He owns a protection dog training business and provider. So he's a provider of protection dogs for executives, well-known people, that kind of thing. And so this is his dog that he has trained and is way more behaved than my dog.
Beautiful dogs, by the way.
I know you're listening, Rogue. But we put a page in the back of the book with all of his businesses. So these are all the logos.
Oh, wow.
Businesses. Yeah. So that book is just out and he's just been a delight to work with. And so if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner or a service provider, the principles that he shares in the book are helpful for everyone. So you don't have to want to build a seven-figure business. You just have to want to build a solid business where people are really excited to work with you and will be happy to work with you. So that is the nonfiction book that I have read, I want to say 30 times.
Wow.
Probably 30 times in the 6 months. Yeah, that's
right.
about the number of times that I read a book. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
For clarification, for those that aren't familiar, this is a book that Honore helped produce.
Correct. This is an Honore Porter bespoke book production.
That's right.
Which means I've been in it.
All in that book. And I just picked it up. So
John Stonky.
Oh, what's up, John?
John
Stonky.
I miss you every day.
Does it feel weird talking on a podcast with John Stonky in the audience?
Well, I feel like I need to have my radio voice, even though his radio voice is just his everyday professor, minister, person voice, right? Yes. So for those of you who don't know John Stonky, he is the creator of Platform Launchers. And he was an EBM member in 23. And he's a college professor and a minister and an entrepreneur, and he does all the things. He's very cool.
Yes.
And he also has like the voice.
He does. He's
Yeah.
got this voice sent from above, and it's led
Right.
to some great success in podcasting. So, John, we're always glad to have you with us, brother, and I hope things are going well up in PA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw his students got him a Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Oh,
I thought that was
well,
super nice. Yeah.
that's a thing up there. You gotta understand there's a line of delineation when you get in above the Virginia border that you are now in Duncan territory for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, we have a Dunkin' in Middle Tennessee in my town where I live, and there's always this crazy line.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. We are honored to be your friend and to call you a friend. 100%.
That's
Yes.
all right. So you guys need to check out, it's a good pitch for, actually, John didn't plan this whatsoever, but I'm going to go ahead and hype Platform Launchers because Honore, you mentioned it. What a great like home for new creative entrepreneurs that want to build a platform with which to communicate with their people. So if you're into like all the things, John helps. Just what a great little community he's built. So go check out Platform Launchers. It's amazing.
If you want to make money online and you want to really get clear on what your path is and have a community of people around you and an incredible leader who has accomplished great things, John is that person, and that is the community to be in for sure.
Yeah. And I like that
John, did you see this? Did you see Discipline by Ali Hamyari? Well, I mean, he's an entrepreneur. He needs this book.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, look, we've got Wayne. He's still in Greece. Hello, Wayne, in Greece.
Hi, Wayne.
Tell Lee I said happy birthday. Lee Fleming is an old shipmate. When I say old, I don't mean Lee is old. He's kind of old. Doesn't mean he's old.
What do you define old as, Lucas? Tread carefully.
Well, shipmates. I can't disclose his age.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. But he is probably old enough to be my dad.
Is he closer to me or you?
He's closer. See, why are you going to ask me that question? He's beyond you, closer to you. You try.
I feel good. I still feel good. So I feel like my 50s are my best decade for so many reasons, not the least of which I still feel pretty good. So I'm grateful.
Oh, look. Okay. So we got a response of 59.
I did see that.
Let's talk about one of Lee's greater traits, shall we?
Okay. Yes.
Lee is a competitive shooter, and he was on the Coast Guard shooting. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he is a tremendous marksman.
Okay.
And he was a competitive shooter for years. So
hopefully
Lee's still doing that.
That's a good skill. It's a good skill to have.
Very good skill to have. And just a really, really nice man. Great, great presence. When I was a very young Coastie, he was one of the senior guys in the engineering community that was kind of blazing paths.
Yeah.
With my Pops' generation. So Pops, if you're watching.
Also young. Hi, Pops.
Very young.
So what are you reading?
I am reading. Okay, here's a disclaimer. So I just picked up Discipline. First of all,
of what you're reading.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ali, thanks you. I thank you.
Yes, I just picked up Ali's book because I was excited. I've been waiting for it because I've heard so much greatness about it since you've been working the project, and immediately when it became available, I went out and picked up a copy. So thank you, Ali. I can't wait to read your book. Yep. You happen to title it one of my favorite words of all time, discipline. So
yeah,
when I'm doing well, it's because I'm being disciplined. When I'm not doing well, it's probably because I'm lacking discipline. So that word has been beaten in my head. It started in 1998.
That came up in my morning reading this morning.
Yeah.
Like, who are you when you're at your best, right? When you're at your very best, what are you doing and what are you not doing? And so it was like, make a list, get a piece of paper and draw on one, draw a line down the middle, and on the left side, write, here's what I do when I'm at my best, and here's what I don't do when I'm at my best. And it's like, it's all like right there in black and white now. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, not to be like uber nerd, but this ties into today's topic. The topic of discipline ties into how much you can charge for for your
Mhm.
services, for your writing, all the things, because the
Yeah.
more disciplined and professional you are in the way you present your business, the better
Yes.
situated you are price wise. But anyways, so I'm just picked that up. So I can't wait to start that one. I'm on the nonfiction side. And on the fiction side, I just finished In Excess of Dark, which was great. And I had a chance to
Okay.
interview Red Lego for my fiction podcast. And Red is just a fantastic person, military spouse, great writer, fun person. And so that was great. But I'm also reading what some would refer to as extreme horror. It's also called transgressive fiction. And Brian Bowyer, who is by the way, the single highest rated interview I've done on my fiction podcast was with Brian, and he is just a unique guy.
What's his book title?
It's titled Old Too Soon, and it
And
is
wait,
brutal.
okay. So I'm definitely you're not buying that for me for Christmas is what you're saying.
No, you will not
Or
be
I
getting
will
a
do
copy of
that.
that.
Nope,
Yeah.
I'm out on that one. And so
Yeah.
what is the term you just used? Transgressive fiction?
Yeah.
Is
So
is
it's
that a term for I'm never going to sleep again after I read this because I'm so scared?
um yeah, let me make sure I get the textbook definition of this so I don't butcher it, because it's a genre of literature which focuses on characters who feel confined by the norms and expectations of society and who break free of those confines. So that could be like extreme violation of law. That could be extreme, like breaking out of the mold of whatever is expected of a certain position, a certain role in life. So
All
this,
right.
yeah, it can get so Fight Club is probably the most popular
Oh, okay. Got
book
it.
of transgressive. Clockwork Orange is another one. American Psycho.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair
So
enough.
people that step way outside of the bounds of norms and societal expectations.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm gonna stick with the
yeah.
cozy mystery rom-com and also the occasional thrill. I'm reading a fantastic thriller right now.
So I am also listening to uh, a fantastic thriller slash post-apocalyptic
Okay. What hit me?
adventure.
Okay.
This
What is it?
random author named Zach Bohannon,
Oh, that guy. Whatever.
his Dead South series.
Yeah.
So guys, there is an opportunity to, like, if you are into especially like post-apocalyptic adventure slash zombie fiction, Zach's Dead South series is fantastic. And I picked it up in audiobook because right now he's selling all 8 audiobooks as one credit purchase on Audible. So you can drop 1 credit and get all
Wow.
8 books in one huge audio file. It's like 40 hours of listening. And I literally listened to it on the way to dropping my son off and coming
Oh,
home.
this is why I don't hear from you in the morning now. I figured it out. Okay. I used to get a morning message like every day, and it's like the 6 o'clock hour comes and goes. I'm like, I wonder what Lucas is. Now I know. I get
Well,
it, though. I get
today,
it.
yes.
Whenever I have a minute, if I'm listening to something that's excellent, I'm doing extra laundry.
Yeah.
I'm scooping things. Because it's like, what can I do so that I can listen? I totally
Right.
get it. You're
Well,
forgetting.
today that was my excuse. Yesterday, that was not my excuse.
I figured we were going to spend so much time together today. You were like, I can only take so much.
No, never.
There's only so much happy I can take, and then I got to like turn it
Right.
on. I got to turn on some
Some
dead body.
transgressive. Yeah, I gotta read
Yes,
some transgressive
yes.
fiction.
You have to have your dark fix too.
So here's kind of the good news about reading something that's that fringe, is if
Okay.
that's what you're looking for, there are, just like any genre, if you're
Yeah.
looking for that kind of fiction, you want someone that does it well.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
And Brian does it very well.
Okay.
However, if you're not that type of reader, that's not your genre, it's hard to stomach some of the stuff that can happen in those types of books.
Sure. Well, I think it
Violence.
brings up the point about how I think traditional education tends to discourage a love of reading because of
Mhm.
what we're made to read.
Sure.
And so when someone tells me that they're not a reader, I think it's probably, if I dig into the conversation with them a little bit, if the opportunity presents itself, I can almost always say, well, have you ever loved reading something? And they've always loved reading something,
Right.
but they haven't given themselves permission to read the thing that they love and only the thing that they love. So if you're not in school and you're not getting graded, please read something, because reading is wonderful, and find the things that you love to read. And so I'm pretty, I guess I fall into 3 different buckets, right? It's like I read for work to learn. I read for work because I'm paid to read certain books because I'm producing them. And then I don't read anything outside of that unless I want to read it.
Right.
So I read for the love of reading in my free time, because I want to continue to love reading. But I think a lot of the stuff that was required reading in school, if that's not your jam, they think that's all reading is doing something that you don't like to do, that you can't do anything else while you're doing it, and then you have to read this thing and it's miserable. But if you find the thing that you love to read, you can't put it down.
I know so many people I know that like hate Beowulf, and I thought it was great. Some people just don't like Tale of Two Cities. I happen to love it.
I'm going to try again, Lucas. I'm going to try again. I think that was Karen. Karen said not having books would be death to me. I know. I completely agree. So the fiction book I'm reading right now is The Third to Die by Alison Brennan. And if you finished it, don't tell me, because it's very, very good. And I'm only like 40% of the way. I'm always really happy when I'm into a book and I love it, and I look and I have a lot of percent left on the Kindle. But I read yesterday till I killed my Kindle. I killed it. I was like, you have a low battery. It died. Yeah.
It takes like a week to do.
Well, I hadn't charged it.
You didn't start with 100?
I didn't start with 100. No. So the Kindle is now charged and ready for, any random opportunity. I could have switched over to my phone, but I didn't switch over to my phone. So I'm also listening to 2 books. One is My Name is Barbara Streisand. And I didn't know a lot about her other than she could, sing like it's her job. So the book is 40 hours long and fascinating. Started back when she was a child. So I'm maybe 10 hours into it, just random here and there. Really interesting, just really interesting to hear about life from her perspective, her career from her perspective, all sorts of things. And then I'm also listening to a book, which is blowing my mind every chapter, called The Joy of Movement.
Oh, that's right.
I told you about this, right? In another conversation. I want to get the author right. Kelly McGonigal. So some of you know I talked about Arete, Arete by Brian Johnson a few weeks ago. It's 1,000 pages. And it's in my suitcase because I'm going on a trip.
I think you use a suitcase of its own at 1,000 pages.
It's in my office, my travel office bag. But in that book, he references a lot of other books. And this book talked about, I think this is really important for people. This one fact, I ran into my desk. This one fact was very interesting to me, and it told me a whole lot about myself and my disposition. She says in the book something to the effect of, there is a step count at which you can overcome anxiety and depression. And that step count number is 5,649, very specific. I don't know how they figured this out. The average step count of Americans is in the 4,700 range, and the worldwide step count average is in the 4,900 range. And so she says, once you get to that 5,900 number, you are less likely to be anxious or depressed. And I went, okay, so I understand now why I have never had a tendency to be anxious or depressed, because I'm a worker-outer. So I naturally get in, and by habit, get in my exercise. So I get my endocannabinoids.
Fancy.
I mean, I'm going to throw around the 25-cent word today, right? So not to spend all of our time on that, because we want to talk about charging what you're worth for sure. We're going to dig into that. So those of you that have tuned in for that, we have not forgotten you. But listening to The Joy of Movement while I'm on the treadmill has been really interesting and mind-blowing because it has explained so much to me. And I still have 5 hours and 10 minutes left according to my Audible. And I think it's like 7 hours, maybe 7.5 hours long. So I'm just barely scratching the surface. So stay tuned. I'll give an update next week as I make my way. I'm going on a road trip. So, which I'm very excited about. So I'll probably get some listening time in while I'm on the road. So we'll see.
Excellent. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So all the books.
Yes. All the books. We've got a lot of books going on right now.
Yeah.
And part of it for me is I just needed to, anytime I'm between books, I just need to let my brain breathe a little bit, and picking up all this other stuff actually is good for the writer brain between major projects.
Yeah.
Helps kind of pull your brain out of one spot and put it in all the other ones so you can come back fresh. So let's jump. Are you good to jump into charging what it's worth?
Yeah.
Or what we're worth? Charging what it's worth.
Lucas.
Yes. So this was something I struggled a little bit with, trying to figure out. I didn't have a hard time with the concept of charging what I'm worth. I didn't want to not charge what I'm worth. And I think that most entrepreneurs are probably in a similar situation. But when I met Honore, I was still very early in my, I guess you could say 2 or 3 years into my entrepreneurial journey at that point. And I was becoming a real boy. Like the business was starting to do the things, and it was becoming, that brings opportunities.
It does.
And part of those opportunities are people going, wait, how did you do that? How are you making that work? How is that succeeding? Can you teach me that? And all of a sudden my time was being requested, not just products or services or courses. It was like, can you spend time coaching or teaching me or consulting? And, next question is, what's that worth? What can I charge? What should I charge? We kind of lean into the products. We don't take it so personal when we think about pricing products, but when we talk about pricing our own time and our own knowledge and our own effort, it can get real fuzzy real fast for people that don't have a procedure or a method by which to kind of view this problem for themselves. So love that you brought this up. It was a huge thing to learn from you when I first joined the Empire Builders Mastermind.
Yes. Well, so where are you now in your?
Much more confident.
Are you year 5 right now?
In the business, we're in year 6 now.
Okay. All right. And you were 20. How many years in the Coast Guard?
20, just under 22.
So raised up, for lack of a better term, in institutional pricing, right? Like there was
in a place where prices didn't exist.
Right. You're just told what you're going to get paid, and it's and there's very little opportunity to raise your income because it's by what's the chart? There's an income chart. What is it called?
Yeah. So you have a base pay chart.
Yeah, a base pay chart in the military, and then you
rank
get
and time.
If you have it's rank and time. But I remember there were like stay bonuses just for my interaction, right? So if you stay in, they might give you a re-up bonus or something like that. So there was very few ways that you could increase your income. It didn't really matter if you were 5 stars or 1 star. You got the same as your shipmate.
We had special pay opportunities like CPay, hazardous duty pay. If you were in special types of positions in certain areas of the world, you may have certain allowances that other people don't have. Hey, Pops, I see you there.
An extra good job. You can do an extra good job or put in extra time.
You could be the best petty officer or the worst petty officer in the same rank. And the only big risk for you was, are you going to promote or advance? And that was the financial incentive to be a stronger performer.
Right. But there wasn't I did a good job, I get a bonus, or I get to, all those things. Hi, Charlie. Welcome.
No, we couldn't give end of year bonuses to our better employees. In fact,
or dock the pay of your bad employees. Very interesting system.
Yeah, you can only dock pay if they commit a violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and you find them guilty of a charge. And if you
Yeah,
have the authority as the commanding officer or the convening authority of that mast
yeah,
to
yeah,
dock pay, and that's all a
yeah.
legal thing more so than it is a just a
Right,
performance system thing.
right,
Yeah,
right.
but
So
yeah, and
I just
then
wanted to
yeah.
point. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that and then to your point, you could have reenlistment bonuses, but you know what? Those were always based on the need of the service. It wasn't necessarily on whether you were doing the best or not. It was like they need this number of people and they don't have it. You're
Yeah,
valuable to them. We'll give you a little extra money to stick around.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
just thought that whole system was very interesting, but I just wanted to point out that you're still relatively new, 6 years
Yep.
in,
Yep.
to the process of starting to really think about how you are different and better than
Yeah.
other people. And we just have a furry visitor.
what's up, Frappuccino?
Frappuccino. So all day I've been at my desk for 6 hours, nothing till right now. She's like, it's camera time, camera ready, 24/7.
That's
So
right.
I think there are a few things to consider.
Mm.
Um, and the faster you kind of go on from one side of the bridge, which is, I don't know how much I should charge. I don't know um, uh, how to figure out how much to charge. I don't know how to own my worth. I don't know how to overcome objections when someone, either balks at or loses their mind when it comes to their fees.
Right.
Right. And I think something that I've heard people say they know me for and respect me for is my ability to say, this is what I charge, take it or leave it.
Right.
Right. And how did I get here? So we'll start with, I have a few things I jotted down just to make sure that we talked about them. And I want to say hi to Phil. Hi, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Phil. We're so glad you're here. You'll love this conversation. As an entrepreneur, right? So 30 years in corporate America. So now he's out in the space we're in, kind of thing.
The wild.
In the wild, yes. And there are a couple of things. I think the most important one is the one that is the most important in everything, and that is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Because if people have confidence in you, they are more likely to put their cash in your pocket than if you are like, I charge $1,000 versus it's $1,000.
Right.
And I've told you this story, but I think it's helpful for me to share it. And that is when I was doing business and executive coaching, and I was working with a coach, and my coach said, you are every bit as good as these other coaches. You need to charge what they're charging or more. And I was like, yeah, okay. And in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen, because I think I know what you would be willing to pay me. And it wasn't the number in her mind. And she said, you are going to charge this number. And the next time someone asks you, she's like, look at me, promise me the next person who asks you how much you charge and for what, this is what you say. Repeat after me. Promise me you're going to do it. And I was like, I promise. Right. But I was thinking, well, I'm going to have a little bit of time to warm up to this idea.
Okay.
Right. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like, I think it's a good idea. I'd like to get a raise. I think that she's right. But I was like, it's gonna be a while before someone asks me how much I charge. It was the next day.
Wow.
So I was at an event. I was on I had gone away to an event. I was like on location. So it's like where you go to a conference and you're like staying there. And I'm sitting on the steps of the hall. And this guy's like, wow, I just love your energy. And I love what you do. And I really think that we should work together. What do you charge? And insert workout word here, right? I was like, oh, right. Like, I promised. What do I say? And so I said what she told me to say. I was like, all right, well, if he balks at it, I can always negotiate myself down. Right. And he was
And
like,
you didn't have like a ton invested in like acquiring this person's attention.
no, I just met him. Like the night before.
Yeah.
So it was not a problem. I didn't have a ton of time invested. You're right. And he just said, oh, that's it? Can I pay you up front? So I said, here's my price per month for 6 months, and that's the contract. So it's this price per month for 6 months, and this is what you get. And he said, oh, well, can I just pay you up front? So the money investment to him was nothing. And to me, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And also paid me back in full for my conference on day one. I was super excited about that. And I went, oh. And I had a little moment of, well, that wasn't so hard.
Right.
I would have accepted half. That would have been a bummer. I would have worked twice as hard or worked as hard for half as much. That's interesting. So it was confidence. It was having the confidence to swallow and go, this is what I charge for what? Okay,
Right.
great. Right. I chose to be confident in that moment, even though I wasn't 100% congruent in my confidence. There's a book I recommend all the time. So yes, we're going to recommend another book. We're the book people. The book and course people are going to recommend books and courses to you. I follow a guy who was on $1 Million Listing New York in real estate. Now he has his own brokerage. His name is Ryan Serhant, and he wrote a book called Big Money Energy. And so he breaks the book into 3 sections, which I think is brilliant: big, money, and energy, and how those things come to be.
Cool.
And so for the people who say, like, I was at dinner with a friend recently and she's like, oh, my sister's a yoga teacher and she's into energy work. And I can just tell, like, to her, she was like, that doesn't resonate with me. So for those of you that are like, energy work doesn't work for me, just stay with me for a second, because I think we can all agree that someone who has positive energy or big energy, not like laying hands on or seeing energy, those are different, right? I think we can all agree that someone who is confident has good energy, positive energy. So the first place to start with charging what you're worth is just to get really clear on your energy and how you're going to show up. And how do you show up when you're your best? So we were talking a little bit ago about who am I when I'm at my best, and what am I doing and what am I not doing? It's like, when you show up when you're at your best, are you in your workout clothes? Are you in your pajamas? Or do you get up and get dressed?
Right.
And I would say 99 days out of 100, I get up, I work out, I take a shower, and I get dressed and I get ready for the day, even if I'm not seeing anybody. Because you know what? I got to see me.
Yeah. Well, I got to feel a certain way about myself too while I'm doing this,
I'm going to feel some kind of way. And you can tell someone, when someone walks into a room, you can tell if they own the room, if they own themselves, if they feel good about themselves, if they have big energy, if they have big positive energy, and you just want to be around those people. So that's the very first place to start, is to make your energy positive and bigger, whatever that looks like for you. So read Big Money Energy, read How to Win Friends and Influence People, read Psycho-Cybernetics, read the books that are fundamental to how you feel when you're presenting yourself to the world, right? So any thoughts on that, Lucas? Do you agree? Like, what are your thoughts on how people show up and how they show up to you and how you judge people? Because we're going to judge a book by its cover, and we're going to judge people by their cover, right?
Absolutely. Especially with I have an expectation at a certain price point. I like to use buying cars as a good example. You go to a Honda dealership to buy a Honda. You go to a Mercedes dealership to buy a Mercedes. And you have certain expectations when you walk in the front door. Honda's absolutely a wonderful brand. I'm not paying $160,000 for one, right? Mercedes is an absolutely wonderful brand. When you walk in the door, you expect Mercedes treatment, and you also expect Mercedes prices. But the Mercedes,
also expect them to take your money if you want to give it to them. But that's a story
right.
for another day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is a barrier that we don't expect sometimes. It's just that you have a certain expectation with certain types of work, certain types of people you're going to work with, about how they're going to handle themselves, how they're going to carry themselves. And regardless of whether it's a high price or a low price, you're looking at quality and the way we project ourselves to others as a quality person to be in a relationship with, whether it be a professional or a friendship, is through the way we carry ourselves and make an impression and communicate. And you're 100% right. Like, probably not going to be as confident in someone who isn't confident in themselves.
Yep.
And I'm also looking for someone that's confident without being like annoying or cocky or whatever. It's a
Right.
professional, healthy energy that they have. And that just, you don't even know, they don't even have to say as much. You can feel it, to your point,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
know
It's
that
not
that's a good
arrogance.
thing.
Arrogance and confidence are not the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
Arrogance is what is Ryan calls it BS money energy.
Oh,
Not big
and
money energy, but BS money energy.
it's a huge turnoff.
It's a huge turnoff when someone's like, "I'm all that, don't you know I'm all that?" That's different. That's not what we're talking about,
Right.
right? We're talking
Exactly.
about just carrying yourself in such a way that someone feels confident that if they give you their money, they're gonna
Mhm.
get what you've promised them
That's
that
right.
you're going to give them. That's it.
And anytime I've been in that spot where I'm just being myself, but I'm being, professional and high energy and optimistic and all the things just happen to be working well.
Hmm.
Wouldn't you know it?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
my expectations for that same level of accomplishment or success are lower when I am not exuding the right energy,
yeah.
because it's just naturally not as, I'm using the word attractive, in a non, uh, not, in a way that's like people
Not
are
in a
drawn.
personal not in a personal relationship way, in a business relationship way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, people are drawn to you. They're attracted to your energy and the way
Yeah,
you carry yourself. Oh, and by the way, if you're, if you look and, come across as honest and optimistic, uh, those people are looking for more of that in their lives because they're, filling in the gaps where people have not been that way.
right.
Um, and
Also
those were never.
kind.
Yeah.
Kind. Some of my bespoke book clients, Ali included, are incredibly accomplished, minutes are money, always on the go, but always takes my phone call or responds right away. Like always
Mhm.
respectful, always kind. Um,
Right.
could not could not be, would not have to be, but it works. It works better when you're that way, right? People want to
Right.
do more for you when you're that way.
And they can
Um,
tell when it's genuine, you know?
correct.
Yeah, people
Yes.
can tell when you're putting on a face. Like if you're just genuinely in the right spot, which goes back to your point about like,
Yeah.
when am I at my best? What do I look like when I'm at my best? What's happening in my life when I'm at my best? How am
Yeah.
I
How
doing?
do I feel? What am I wearing? I
Yep.
mean, you can wear a t-shirt and black jeans and that's, dressed down or dressed up, but it's how you feel in that.
Mhm.
It's how it makes you feel. So,
Right.
we won't spend much more time on this,
Yeah.
but if this is a topic that's interesting to you, we can certainly dig into it in a future conversation. I think there are two other things we should talk about. And the first
Sure.
one is to know or decide what it is that you're worth and how do you charge. And
Yep.
so there's one aspect of um, what do you think you should charge? What is it worth to you? What you're going to do. Also, on the other side of it is what is it worth to the person? Because
Right.
I hear a lot, I could never charge more than $25 an hour, $150 an hour,
Mhm.
$1,000 an hour, right? And my rate is more than double that top number. Now,
Right.
most people will go, "How is your time worth that much?" And I'm like, "Well, my time isn't worth much at all. And if I'm not doing what my brain knows how to do, if I'm just cleaning something, I'm worth $15 an hour."
I love that you're
Right?
bringing that up because everyone says time is money and your time, because they look, every opportunity is the same and it's not.
It is not. That is correct. That's why um, uh, the person who works at the front desk in a medical office makes a different amount of money than a nurse practitioner, makes different money than a doctor, and a
Right.
specialist in the medical profession makes more than a generalist. So a general practitioner doctor is not going to make as much as a specialist, a surgeon, a brain surgeon, a heart surgeon. They're going to make exponentially more money. Why is that? They're spending the same amount of time. They're both suiting up and going into the office. Why are they making more? It's because of what they're doing in that time and what got them to that time. So it's education, it's experience, it's knowledge, it's additional
Mm.
experiences outside of that. It's connections, it's knowing, it's like the plumber said, the guy says to the plumber, "You were only here 15 minutes. Why is it worth $300?" It's like, because I knew which button to push and which wrench to use and which pipe to fit. It has nothing to do with the amount of time. It has to do with what you did in that time. So when it comes to you and what it is that you're charging, you want to factor in a few things: education, experience, knowledge, what you're bringing to the time that you're spending with the person who is having access to you. They're having access to you for a finite amount of time. That's the only reason time factors into this at all. If it takes you 3 minutes to give someone $1 million worth of knowledge, then you better run that American Express card before it combusts, right? On the flip side, it's where do you fit in the marketplace? And how much of a commodity is what you do? And is the extra stuff that you bring to what you do worth that extra time? Right? And so let's use something that's outside of our realm and what we're talking about, because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm using them as an example. So let's use babysitting. So let's say your daughter, Maddie, decides to start a babysitting business. I would imagine a babysitter would make, I don't know, when I was babysitting back in the, the Stone Age, I think I made like, $1 an hour per kid or something ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
I think now babysitters make $15 an hour, $10 an hour, something like that, depending on how many kids are there.
Could be more than that.
And it's a commodity though, right? Because basically their job is to ensure the children do not die.
That's right. It's like a survival enthusiast.
Mom and dad want to go to the movies. They want to come home. The house isn't burned to the ground. The kids are not dead. They're not injured or dead, right? So this seems like pretty much anyone could handle this. But if I were starting a babysitting business and I wanted people to book me in advance and pay me a premium, I would have books that are age appropriate for the kids I was coming to. I would have healthy snacks. I would make like a charcuterie board or something like that, and like make little animals out of vegetables. I would show up with games that I could play with the kids. I wouldn't be hoping the kids were asleep so I could text my boyfriend and watch TV.
Right.
Right? So like, how do you separate yourself as someone who is bringing extra to the business of something that's a commodity? What else are you bringing, and how do you get a reputation for that extra thing that you bring? There's a little bit of how much experience do you have? What do testimonials say? All of that factors in. And then once you settle on a price, and I feel like I'm simplifying it overly much. So if someone has a specific question or a situation, we would love for you to type it in there so I can answer it, or Lucas can answer it for you. But once you've settled on a price, I think, and this is the third thing I really wanted to spend some time on in our conversation today, is once you've settled on a price, you have to promise me, look at me, you got to promise me that that's your price.
That's right.
And you're not going to let people hammer you on price and try to get a deal out of you when you've decided, this is my price. This is what I charge to do a book. This is what I charge to work with someone to do a course. This is what I charge someone to do sales training and coaching. This is what I charge to do something. You can give great client discounts. You can decide to charge them less at your discretion. But once you've decided what your fee is, you have to understand that there are people who are looking for you and they want to find you. So if you show up confidently, knowing what it is that you bring to the table, and you have enough conversations, you can't not be successful. You must be successful if you do the right thing enough times in a row. So once someone comes to you and says, Lucas, what do you charge to do a course? And you say, it's $30,000. And someone comes back to you and says, well, so-and-so down the street will do it for $6,000. You can say, that's wonderful. I bet he's fantastic. Go work with him.
That's right. Yeah.
Not, well, I think I can come down on my fee, and maybe we try something for a month, or maybe I can do a little bit less, because we cannot, and I'm going to use a tiny little grown-up word that's also an animal. I can't half-ass it.
Right.
I got to use my full ass. Right?
Hashtag full ass.
Use the full ass. Right? So I cannot do someone's book and not do it all the way. I'm going to do every single thing in my power to make sure that the book is as close to perfection. Are you typing our hashtag?
That's for Tony. Somewhere Tony Jacobson right now is
Somewhere
smiling.
Tony Jacobson is having a good time. Yes. Is enjoying the conversation. Yes, tag him. And so that's the part of it that can be frustrating. Mm-hmm. Is when I see people go, well, this company does it for less, or I'm going to go 80% of the way there. And I think, well, but you're leaving the 20% of effort on there. Even when they take a course and they go, well, I'm just going to design my book cover in Word. It's going to be fine. Right. And I go, but if you had gone the whole way, you would have a book that's going to work for you for a decade, and it's going to get you that return on investment. But if you just go, oh, I'm going to cut this corner and I'm going to cut this corner, I'm going to use Pro Writing Aid instead of an editor. Right. I can read. That was my attitude. I can read. I'm a reader. I got an A in English all through. I can read. I can find typos. No. Everyone needs an editor, right? Yep. So I sent a meme this morning to someone who's probably watching. And after I saw it again, I was like, oh, there's a typo in the meme. I didn't make the meme, just for the record, but it was just evidence, like, everybody needs an editor.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to come behind them and see what we're not able to see because we're too close to it. So once you determine your fee and you determine what gives you the credentials for that. So I charge a lot to do a bespoke book because I've written a lot of books. I've sold a lot of books. I've gotten a lot of books translated, and I've worked on a lot of books. I have a lot of experience. If I get to work on someone's book, in my opinion, and I don't say this arrogantly, I'm just confident, it's their lucky day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm working on your book, and no one is going to care more about your book than you, other than me. The end. Yep. So if you can bring that to your work and you know that, then that's worth more than someone else who's looking at their clients as a number. Right. And who is going to do the MED, the minimum effective dose. Because there are a lot of people that preach, you just need the minimum effective product, the MVP, the minimum viable product. And it's like, not if you want that product to be a business asset that's going to make you business. English. Everybody needs an editor. That's going to generate business for you for a long time.
Right. No, and I love that because, the whole MVP thing is born of Scrum and software design, and people that don't work in that world don't understand that that's not the end. That's the beginning. And they're like, all you need to do is produce this bare amount, and then out the door it goes. And you're like, yeah, so you're starting again tomorrow, right? And they're like, what? You're like, right. Yeah, you're not done yet, right? Like it's a real thing where if well, to your point, I think that having the focus on quality is, you have to have it to justify higher rates, regardless of what the competition in your industry is doing. So if you're trying to play the game and be confident and go in there and charge the price you're worth, you have to uphold a few key things. You have to be a good person. You have to produce quality work. You have to do all the things. It's like, it's almost like a magic switch goes off in your head at one point and you go, I know all that. Yeah, but can you do all that? Will you do all that? You have to do it
when it's like a New Year's resolution or committing to a goal. It's like, will you do it when the enthusiasm with which you engaged the project has worn off, or when there are challenges? And there are constant challenges in the book business. The book hasn't gone through approval process, or an author says, I don't like something that's happened, or the printer decides that crooked is acceptable, or
crooked is straight.
Crooked is straight, and it isn't. And so there are constant challenges in it. You can't give in. You don't quit when you're tired. You quit when you're finished.
Right.
Yeah. You might take a break, but you got to come back into it and fulfill that. And when you can bring all of that to the marketplace, there's surprisingly few people willing to do that. They want to say, oh, I can do it better for cheaper. I can, I'm bringing all of that to the table. So it's very important that when you are looking at your price point and your credentials that you have differentiators that no one else has or very few people have, and then combine that with having a book, having a course, having confidence,
Right.
being a good person, because nobody wants to work with someone who's really, really good at what they do, but they're a jerk.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So we'll talk about that in a future, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about some aspects of that later. But, I think one of the reasons we work so well together, Lucas, is we're both awesome.
Don't you all agree?
So you all agree? Can we get a comment? No, we're easy. I have a rule. I have this code of conduct that I put together for myself 30 years ago. And one of the things is I make it really easy to be happy and really hard to be unhappy.
Right.
And that has served me very well. It's like I'm easy to please and hard to upset. So unless you're working really hard at it,
right.
You gotta work. Some people work very hard at it though. They do a good job.
Well, yes, they do.
Yeah,
They do.
right?
They do a great job of being unlikable.
Yes, but it's hard. It's hard to get me there because I don't like being there, right? So it's like if you make it really easy to work with you,
right?
If you're just, not a pushover. I'm certainly not a pushover. Is that Ella?
It is Ella. Can you hear her walking around?
I can. Yeah. Hi,
you
Ella.
Had Frappuccino. Ella decided she doesn't get in camera view because she's not a cat. If she got on my desk, we'd have problems. She's a 90-pound pit bull.
Oh, if Rogue thought there was something in it for her, she'd be up here on the desk. She would have no problem.
Yes. Yeah. Ella's walking around. Yeah. She's like, what are you doing?
So be excellent, but also be awesome. Be awesome to work with. Be friendly. Right. And all that. So what does Phil say? Not all customers or clients are created equally. For example, small businesses may not have the financial abilities to pay the rates. However, they have willing hands. What is that word, Phil? I think he's
willing determination to do what it takes.
Willingness and determination to do what it takes. How do you recommend working with them?
I've got an idea on this one. I'll wait until you're done.
No, you do this because I have a definite opinion on this for sure.
Yeah. So Phil, you're in the DC area. You're used to working with these large companies. I'm used to working with the government. We work with clients that are not created equal to the rest of industry, right? I'm not saying that these are the types of clients you're talking about. I'm just giving you that as an example of a client that is a fairly immovable target. The government has a way of doing business. Some large companies have a way of doing businesses. Small businesses are no different, right? To your point, they may have financial restrictions that the big companies don't have. And so I kind of look at the problem the same way. They may not be my target audience if we're out of each other's range. If I can't deliver at the price that they can afford, and it's so far out of reach, I'm not talking barely out of reach, because barely out of reach, they can still reach. But if it's way out of reach, but I'm still targeting them as my client, there's a misalignment in my business model somewhere there. Now, if they don't think they can afford it, that's different than they can't afford it. There are some small businesses that have a mindset that everything has to be lowest priced. That is the equivalent to the US government going with the lowest bidder at every opportunity because they're not so much worried about placing the emphasis on the other things, which, by the way, is one of your differentiators. You can provide something that the other people can't, and it's worth way more consideration than just the sticker price of your hours. So sometimes they need to be coached into understanding why you're different and why you charge the rate you charge so that they can see the value in it and then open up their willingness to actually spend that money and get what they were really looking for in the first place. They want the best product. They just need to see that it's worth the investment. And that's my short shtick on that.
Yeah. So I love what you had to say, and I'm going to piggyback on that and say, you can't serve everybody.
Yep.
If you have to decide who you want to serve and how you want to serve them, and also how you want your compensation to look. And sometimes serving everybody, I'm not willing to give my hours to everybody and only charge $200 an hour $250 an hour, or even $500 an hour. It is not worth
Right.
it to me to do that. There was a time when that happened. That time has passed. So you have an opportunity to decide. You get to decide. It's your business. You get to decide, are you going to create a different offering? So when my one-on-one coaching prices were higher than some people wanted to pay, and I wanted to work with them, I figured out a way to leverage my time by working with more people in the same amount of time. I multiplied my money and the amount of people I was able to impact.
So you pulled them into like a group coaching type
Correct.
offer.
Right. So as far as the books go, I have things at all price points. I have free books I give away. My books are all less than $20. You can have a copy of all the knowledge that I can give you in the form of a book between 99 cents and $20, right? So there's all that knowledge available. If you want to go next layer, you can invest in a course and you can pay up front or you can pay over time. And that's how I serve everybody. And then for the next level, and then for the next level, right? So I have products at different levels, not every level, but I have products at different levels. And that's a decision that I had to make based on my goals and what I wanted to do. And I think at the end of the day, I think people sometimes spend too much time going, how do I make everybody happy? How do I serve everybody? But I really have a heart for small businesses. Then donate some of your time when you've got your finances in order to the Small Business Administration or an entrepreneur center, or give away a certain number of your courses. So there are a certain number of people that write to me and just say, I have this situation or that situation or whatever. And I'll say, here's a free copy of a book that you can't get for free. I don't give it away for free. Or here is a discount on a course or a course that you can use to get started. And I give them some value that doesn't use my time, because my time is finite. And a lot of people say, well, but time is free and money is expensive. And I would disagree. I would rather give you my money than my time, because I only have a finite amount of time. And once it is spent or invested, it's gone forever. I can never recover it. And so I think if people would value their time and really pay attention to where they are spending or investing their time, then they would say, well, I can't afford just to give away my time to X demographic until I get here.
Right.
But it's why I do community service, and I do serve on a board, and I do give back, and I do give of my money, and I do give of my time, but I give it intentionally so I can still make the money in order to do those things. So it's a little bit of a circle. I hope that answered your question, Phil, but if it didn't, put us another question in there real quick in the last couple of minutes.
Right. And I do think it's important to understand that there's a difference, I kind of grazed the point. But you're very familiar with this, Honore, because you changed your ICA when you changed your prices. You changed your ideal client,
Sure did.
Right? You did that on purpose. Those two went hand in hand, right? So when you moved out of serving a certain population of the industry into moving toward another population of the industry, you had to take those two together, the price and the population, and move them. So if you were going to move down to the small business, you may lower your rate to reach those people, but it's an intentional decision to reach that particular audience at a certain price. And it's okay if you do that on purpose. What you can't do is become conflicted within your business saying, I want to serve these people, but I want to charge this price. And knowing that the two are a very strong mismatch. Like, I can't go to the US government and charge whatever I want for certain services, but the US government also can't just tell me I have to charge a super low rate to get in their door, right? There's a balance there when it comes to work. It's the same thing.
You're never going to get Honda to charge Mercedes prices and get it.
No.
Because of the perception, you would never say, well, it's $150,000 for this Honda Accord, fully souped up, whatever. Someone would go, I'm just not going to pay that.
Yeah, most people are not.
There's an incongruence there. Also, if Mercedes all of a sudden started charging Honda prices, they'd get some side eye from people who would say their quality must have gone down. So certain products and services require you charge a lot, because, and I will say this about ghostwriters, someone says to me, well, I have a ghostwriter that will only charge me $5,000 to write a book. It's like any ghostwriter worth their salt is going to charge you $20,000 for a full-size book and up, and they will get it.
Yep.
The ghostwriter I work with, $90,000. Other ghostwriters I work with, $150,000.
Right.
For a full-size book. And they get it on the regular. So if there's someone out there, I have a couple of friends that are in that space, and they won't charge more than $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and they have decades of experience, and they won't charge more, and they're just leaving money on the table,
right?
Because it's their consciousness, right? It's their money consciousness that's getting in the way, which is a conversation for another day.
Yeah. So I guess the last thing I would kind of note on this is, when you intentionally choose a price point and you're aligning that with a certain client, whether you want to do that, you're also using that to filter out clients up and down. So if you price yourself in the middle of your market, you're not going to attract the bottom of the market, and you're probably not going to attract the top of the market, because the top of the market understands that they're paying a certain price for quality and excellence and all the things. And they expect that. And they're suspect if your rate is too low. Then the bottom of the market's not even going to look at you, because they're just like not willing to spend that kind of money. So this is why I keep bringing up being intentionally situate your price and yourself in a place where you're happy and they're happy. That finding that balance. I am very happy to keep my rate where it is, because I'm attracting the right people to work with. And I do have different rates and different things in my business, right? Because in this industry, it's a little different than that one. And that's just reality. But they're not very far from each other. Like there's, just a little flex, but I'm being very intentional about making sure that I'm using my price to eliminate the people I don't want to work with and attract the people I do want to work with. And that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. I needed to be convinced I could do that. Honore helped me learn that. She's like, until you change your rate, you're going to keep running into this issue.
I was going to say there's the elephant in the room, which is that the more you charge, generally speaking, the easier people are to work with.
Right.
Because people who can afford to pay more are willing to pay more, and they're usually easy to work with because they're busy. So they appreciate the fact that you're doing this very specialized thing for them and providing value. And so they just are grateful and wonderful to work with. So you're profitable and you're happy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Honore, this is a huge, huge topic. You've done amazing sharing all of this great insight. So much of it's in here. And if people just
all of it's in here.
Yeah. Right? If you just put it on paper.
98% mindset.
Yeah.
And I didn't say the last thing.
Oh, what's that?
When you say your price, shut up.
That's right.
This is what I charge. This is what you get. And then zip it.
That's right.
Now there's this stupid sales thing that people will say, which is like the next person to speak loses. And I don't play the win-lose game in sales, right? I don't think that that's cool. But just for your own sanity, shut up, zip it. Zipit.com, right? This is what I charge. This is what you get. And then shut up and just sit there and let them think, because what they're doing is they're thinking, okay, that's less than I thought it was. Or I could make that happen. Or let me think about how I can make that happen. I have a lot of people who say to me, I'm going to do a book with you. I'm working on getting to the point to where I can afford to do a book with you.
Right.
I don't race to the bottom and go, but I can do it for half.
Right.
I just go, that's awesome. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll let you know when I have a slot available. And it's a wonderful conversation. The energy is good. Right. I know it's coming. They know it's coming. It's fantastic. So figure out what you're going to charge, figure out what you're going to give in return, be ready to answer that question with confidence, and then zip it. Shh.
That's right. What gave me the ability to do that is having the fallback that's an exceptional or an acceptable thing. So this is not a different rate it's a different product. Like
Oh,
you were
yes.
talking about
Yes.
courses.
Yeah.
That gave me a huge ability to just be like, here's my price. And I could step back and go, I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about the next thing being them talking me down in price. Like, hey, if you want me to do it done for you, this is what it is. If you just want me to guide you, this is what it is. If you want me to teach you on a course, this is what it
That's
is. If you
right.
want the book,
That's right.
this is what it is. And
That's right.
you don't have to explain anymore. You've given them a ton of variation, a ton of options. They can just pick the one that's right for them. And it
Yes.
gives you
And
the
you just
ability to like, I could stop talking about it when they ask, because I've given them the option to take something different.
And you've made the argument right there, in case anyone was paying attention, to write a book, have a course,
Yeah.
right? Have different things that you offer.
Yep.
Because I do want everyone to write and publish a great book that works for them for a decade. I can't work with everyone. I can't do everyone's book. If everyone said yes, I'd be in trouble. I'd probably have a nervous breakdown and just go to like Martinique or something. Just be like, oh my gosh. Like I'd be chartering one of Ali's jets. I got to get out of the country. Too many people said yes.
That's right.
So more yeses, just not more yeses all on the same day, right? So if everyone
right.
said yes to you, you can work with them. So figure out what it is you do, and figure out what other products you would want to put in place so that you could serve more people at a higher level, or at a level that works for them and their budget and you and your available time.
Guys, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, or you want us to cover a different aspect of this, or dive deeper on a different aspect, or one of the aspects we talked about, just shoot me an email or leave us a comment right there on whatever platform you're watching this video on, and we'll be notified, and we can use that to build out another session for you on the same topic.
Yep.
But we have all kinds of things to unpack on these. But our time is up for today. And Honore, thank you again for sharing your wisdom.
My pleasure. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, Lucas.
Yeah. And you guys know where we're at every Thursday, 11 Eastern, 10 Central, right here on wherever you're watching us, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're in all the places. We are excited to be here with you every week. This is one of our highlights. We talk about it every week, how much we love doing this. And we hope that you'll come back. Check out empirebuildersmasterclass.com. We've got tons of training opportunities on there, especially if you're looking to write and publish a book this year. We've got our Author Success Bundle posted. We'd love for you guys to check it out.
Yeah. Charlie, it was good to see you this time. Thank you for tuning in. And Phil and Karen and who else? Who else was here? Who am I missing? John Stongi. Oh my gosh.
John Stongi. Yeah.
That was such a cool
Wayne.
blessing. Wayne.
Happy birthday, Lee.
I didn't see the camel today.
No camel today. He's in Greece.
Oh.
Yeah. No camels in Greece.
Well, I don't think they have like a hummus emoji.
Or an olive.
Or an olive. Maybe there's
I'm Italian. Olive. I can make these jokes.
That's right. Well, it was like what part of the world? Like it would be spaghetti if he was in Italy, right?
Hey.
Hey. Okay.
Hey. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. And Honore, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lucas.